What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with Dark Outpost, and as we see unsold copies of The Last of Us Part 2 continue to sit there and collect dust on the shelves, we have updated sales numbers that indicate that it is slumping in sales. But we have a brand new update that launched for this game. Will it increase interest? I looked at it, and we're going to go over it. Honestly, some of the things look pretty interesting. Will it be enough to get people back into playing this game that so many people considered not fun and exhausting to play? Big reason why you saw so many used copies for sale immediately after this game launched. And we also have heard about a new multiplayer for The Last of Us Part 2. What will it entail? And will people buy it after what they did with The Last of Us Part 2? Let's take a look first at these sales. UK sales chart, Ghost of Tsushima settles for second as The Last of Us 2 exits the top 10. Yes, that is true. The Ghost of Tsushima unfortunately fell to second place. However, it is in the same week that The Last of Us 2 fell out of its first place slot to third place behind Animal Crossing and F1. However, Ghost of Tsushima falls behind Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing continues to sell over and over and over again. I don't know how everyone in the world doesn't have a copy of this game, but it continues to do incredible numbers. And you see The Last of Us 2, we have no idea where it's at on this chart, but it's definitely not in the top 10. Falling down below Paper Mario, Origami King, Grand Theft Auto, Ring Fit Adventure, and 51 worldwide games, whatever the hell that is. Last of Us Part 2 has fallen below that. Now, I have shown several times on this channel the multiple copies of The Last of Us Part 2 that are anywhere in the world. You can find copies of The Last of Us Part 2 because they're just sitting everywhere. I've got people sending me, tagging me in things, showing me all the while in Australia, in New Zealand, in the UK, in America, it's almost impossible to find a physical copy of Ghost of Tsushima. The Last of Us 2 you can find it almost everywhere. Look at this. There's no clearer than this. Look at The Last of Us 2, one copy of Ghost of Tsushima. And of course, it's not just a couple pictures. It's over and over and over again. No copies of Ghost, tons of copies of The Last of Us Part 2, but they have put something out that may interest people, may invigorate people to go out there and buy this game. Only time will tell. We got a big new update from Naughty Dog. I wanted to talk about a little bit because honestly, some of the stuff does sound pretty cool. Not that I am going to play this game after what Naughty Dog has done, after what Naughty Dog has done to my channel and so many other people with the false copyright strikes trying to terminate our YouTube channels just for talking shit about The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 update adds grounded difficulty, permadeath mode, and more. And yeah, permadeath mode is exactly what it sounds like. Grounded difficulty returns plus new permadeath mode. For veteran Last of Us fans, grounded difficulty represents the ultimate test of skill. The difficulty raises the stakes by not only making enemies deadlier and ammo, upgrades, and any crafting materials incredibly scarce, but also removing invaluable tools for survival, like disabling listen mode, deactivating elements of the HUD, and more. So basically an extra hard difficulty mode. Legendary difficulty mode is what grounded is. So for those people who do still want to play this game and want a little bit more, you do have grounded mode, but that's not it. We also have permadeath mode now, which again is exactly what it sounds like. You can't die. If you die, you lose the game. If you die, you have to start over. Now there is an alternate to permadeath mode where you can have checkpoints along the way. So if you die, it will just reset you back to a checkpoint. So you can kind of tailor it to whatever you want, however hard you want it. They did add new graphics, audio, and gameplay modifiers. I'm not sure why you would ever want to play in 8-bit. I don't know why anyone would want to play a game like this in 8-bit, but that is the case. You can do it. They also have some mirror worlds, a bullet speed mode, infinite ammo, infinite crafting, different little gimmicks like this to maybe if you do actually like this game, give it some replayability instead of being so exhaustive and not fun to play, which we've heard from so many people. Now, as you can see, The Last of Us Metacritic score still sitting there at a 5.6 with nearly 140,000 Metacritic ratings. It's really slowed down. We have not seen very much action on Metacritic because simply no one else is really buying this game. Like I said, I've showed you guys how many shelves are stock full of The Last of Us Part 2. I've also shared with you on previous videos and on live streams information I have from a local Best Buy that said they only sold 6 copies in all of July, and they have 111 copies of The Last of Us Part 2 sitting there in the back room just collecting dust because they cannot move these games, whereas Ghost of Tsushima cannot stay on the shelves. They literally have no copies of them. They want more. The game is sold out in so many places. But we did get more news. It's not just about this update. We also have The Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer gameplay leaks online. Now, leaks, where have we heard that before? Leaks out of Naughty Dog? No way. Say it isn't so. It must have been hackers again, right, Naughty Dog? Right, Sony? Like you told us happened with The Last of Us Part 2? Couldn't have been a disgruntled employee. No, it was hackers. Well, we still have leaks coming out of Naughty Dog. I wonder if it's those same hackers that they said they identified. My guess is probably not. But we did get multiplayer leaking online. Now, if you remember, back in 2019, Neil Druckmann said The Last of Us 2, the scope has got so big for the game that they were not going to include multiplayer in The Last of Us Part 2. Now, is this going to be a separate game, or is it going to be a paid DLC? That's yet to be seen. We don't quite know that. Most people are thinking that it's probably going to release sometime in 2021 based on how far along these leaks are. Now, I can't show you them, unfortunately, because what a shock. They're getting DMCA'd immediately. So many people that are uploading this are getting copyright strikes for this leaked footage. So, again, I'm not going to take that chance. I've already fought Naughty Dog on copyright and won. There's no reason to take more chances. But there has been another Last of Us Part 2 leak, but this one isn't anywhere quite as devastating as the plot details that did the rounds online ahead of launch. The latest breach seems to have given us our first look at Naughty Dog's standalone multiplayer expansion, a continuation of the Factions mode from the original game. Now, I have to say, full disclosure, I never played Factions for The Last of Us. I played almost all of The Last of Us on a PlayStation 3 that was not connected to the internet because it was at my work at the time. So I never got to play Factions. Although I heard really good things about it, that it developed a, maybe not a huge fan base, but a very dedicated and hardcore fan base for Factions. And a lot of people were looking forward to that for The Last of Us Part 2 until, again, in 2019, Neil Druckmann said we weren't going to get it. Now with these leaks, we do know that they are working on it, that it is coming out soon at some point in time. But again, will it be a separate game or will it be a paid DLC? I think everyone knows that they are going to want to make as much money as they can off of this, especially given, I would say, the relative disappointment of how this game has been received. And we do still have just that one number, 4 million copies shipped physically. We haven't had any updates in 2 months since this game's release. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see when these actual numbers start coming in. When we see all of these copies of The Last of Us Part 2 sitting on shelves, is it an indicator that maybe they way overshipped? That maybe it's more in line with the digital sales that are around 2.8 million? Maybe that's right. Maybe that's more like what it is. And we have 1 million copies of The Last of Us Part 2 that are sitting there rotting. Only time will tell for this. Now, we did take a look. I watched it before it got DMCA'd. There's not much to it. It is clearly multiplayer for The Last of Us Part 2. It is clearly Factions. It does look like it's just going to be an updated version of the Factions multiplayer that so many people got for The Last of Us. And if you are a big Last of Us fan, you're probably going to really enjoy it. And even if you're not a fan of The Last of Us 2 because of the story, chances are that you might actually enjoy Factions. Only time will tell. We'll have to see a lot more of it. It's very rough right now in the stage of its development. But we do know that it is coming out at some point. So that's The Last of Us 2 news that we have. Again, falls out of the top 10, getting beaten by games we've never heard of, which it has been out almost 2 months at this point. That is to be expected. It will be interesting to see how well Ghost of Tsushima hangs out. We know it's selling insanely well in Japan, but it's going to be interesting how long Ghost of Tsushima hangs around the top 10 in both the United States and the UK. UK, we get those numbers right away. We know it was the top selling PlayStation game in July. That's not really a surprise in the United States, but as far as the UK, we get those numbers right away. How long will Ghost hang around? Only time will tell. Let me know how you feel about all this in the comments below. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.